Hi there, and welcome to the latest edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, and where the content is absolutely free. It is episode 177 of the flagship show here on a Sunday. I'm your host tonight. I'm Colin Armstrong. As I say every week, guys, it's not just the pod that we have here at Gersnet. If you go onto the website, you'll find forums, articles. Frankie's got his social media, obviously. There's a quality history archive on the site as well, if you go on there. As we say every week, if you could promote the pod and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we've had a very successful week. Unfortunately, a huge chunk of that has probably been gloating Tim's. But, you know, the YouTube channel is monetised, so we'll take the extra tenner or whatever it is we got for... it was like over 60,000 hits we had last week with the various content that we provided. So, yeah, a good week. We just wish it was in better circumstances. So, yeah, put the word out there for us. Time to bring in my guests. I've got John McCallum and Gary Valentine. John, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. I'm well. Yeah. Sunday night, 4-0 victory. It's going to be all sweetness and light tonight, isn't it, Colin?
That's one way of putting it, yeah. I've not been very positive about Rangers this week, I must admit. I was just scunnered after last Sunday. There's a few of them in that team. I'm like, that's it. I'm done with them. I'm done with him. Getting rid of them all. But I was seeing the day, it was like 4-0. It's like the first time since 1972 or something we've scored 4 goals at Paisley.
There you go. That's a good start. I have no comeback to that. First time since 1972. Well, of course, what else happened in 1972?
Well, there we go. It's
clearly an omen.
It's an omen, yeah, because Rangers had a shite domestic year that year as well. So you never know. Given what I've seen over the last week and a bit, I doubt it, but you never know. And we've also got Gary. How are you, Gary?
I'm not bad, Colin.
Enjoy your wee trip to Ibrox yesterday?
I did. That's what I was saying to them off air. It was my mum and dad's 45th anniversary today, so congratulations to them. So they invited us over for a meal to help celebrate with them.
You had the wee man there as well, I noticed.
Aye, the wife's at the Algarve on a hen do, so I've been flying solo in the parenting stakes for the first time this weekend, so it's been an experience.
What's a shitty nappies to deal with?
Aye.
I've been there. Aye.
Like all young fathers, Gary, left alone with his son for the first time, takes him to Govan and buys him a Rangers bib. And it's a rites of passage, Gary. Well done.
Of course.
That's it. Absolutely. I don't think you'll see many folk, apart from the gloating Tims who are watching it, obviously, who would disagree with that sentiment. Right, guys, so on to today's game. John, I'll bring you in first. I mean, I don't think we could deny it was a good win. I was a wee bit frustrated that, you know, we pulled our first routine win out our arse for the first time in however long. You know, once the pressure's gone and we've probably left ourselves too much to do in the league. But I mean, it was good to get a routine win, you know, a good performance, a few goals, and maybe build a wee bit of confidence given the week that we've got coming up.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would agree that the pressure's gone, but I know what you mean. It was a good victory. It was a pretty good performance. Getting the early goal this season hasn't always meant that we've cruised to a 4-0 win. We've had early goals in other games and struggled after that, allowed other teams to come back into it, as we know. But getting the early goal, I think, helped. I wasn't too impressed with St Mirren. I was at the last game at Paisley. I was going to call it Love Street there. I can't ever remember what they call the ground now.
St Mirren Park.
St Mirren Park. Yeah, to be fair, probably should have remembered that. Not the hardest name or the most imaginative.
Or Celtic Park Light, as I like to call it, yeah.
Yes. So I was there the last time and they gave us a hard game. The last time, we had to earn our victory last time. I thought today that was a team that looked like they chucked it. And when I saw a bench with Curtis Main on it, I was expecting it to be a physical afternoon, and it didn't quite turn out that way. Even though we had a couple of players going off injured, the injuries were fairly innocuous, I thought. So overall, Colin, it's been a tough 7 days. With the best 7 days that we've all enjoyed. So, it was nice to come through that match with, a convincing scoreline, a good performance, and hopefully gives us all a boost ahead of, 2 big games ahead.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, 5 changes to the team from Thursday night. Hollander in, Borna in, Ramsey, Roof and Aribo all coming in. Balogun out, Bassey and Jack weren't even in the squad. Arfield and Kamara out. Is that the kind of changes you anticipated? Because I think at the moment, I think Gio's surprising a few people with his lineups and team selections. So how did you feel about the starting 11 and the changes today?
I actually thought that the starting 11 today would have been a better one for Thursday. I thought it was quite obviously Highlanders cup tied, but that was quite a strong team, probably stronger than what I thought we'd put out, to be honest. And
in terms of like say Jack and Bassey especially, I mean, not being in the squad at all. I mean, I must admit my eyebrows raised a wee bit of that. I was like, oh, you know,
I think he'll probably just be rested for Thursday. That's what my thinking is there. Maybe Jack's played a few games, and I'm sure he said in the commentary that Bassey had a wee knock, and was it a thigh knock or something? He said it was just precautionary that he was held out for. But saying that, Barisic came in and done really well. It was like the Barisic you old.
Aye, because he's not been like that for a while, has he? You know, I saw somebody tweeting the day that, you know, we've seen this script before, you know, Borna Barisic reviving his Rangers career at St Mirren. But I do kind of feel, as well as he played today, I do kind of wonder if he's one of the ones that will go in the summer.
I think so. I think there's a lot of them. But as you said kind of earlier, that when the pressure's off, they seem to play a bit better. And it's a pattern over the last 4 years that that's two managers now, the same pattern. The managers are different, but the players are kind of the same. So it's maybe the players are the issue here.
Yeah, that's my thought. I know John slightly disagrees, but I'm scunnered with a few of them. Right, Roof hat-trick today, John. It was a decent hat-trick. It was only, let me think, 2 headers and right foot. If he'd have got a left foot in there, it was only a left foot finish away from a perfect hat-trick. First goal came...
Drop him.
First goal came very early on. Now, as you said before, we've started well in games quite a lot this season. In fact, I'm sure Sky produced a stat today showing that we were top of the league in terms of, you know, scoring early.
Yeah. The game's finished at half an hour in. We're Champions League material just now.
We've won the league already, John. Yeah. But I mean, it was a good goal, you know, and I think we've all had concerns about where the goals were coming from. So I think Tav was involved over to Kent. Good cross in. I thought it was a good header, a really, really good header. Directed it well, and a good way to start the game.
A fantastic header. I mean, it's one of these headers that some professional footballers can make look easy, but you know, there wasn't a massive amount of power on Kane's cross. Yeah. It was more precision than power, and Roof generated a lot of power in the header and just put it out the keeper's reach. Fantastic header. Roof's one of these players that we all know that Roof is arguably probably the best striker in Scotland if he could stay fit. You know, frankly, you and I have spoken about this in the pod before. I don't think Roof would be playing for Rangers if he could stay fit. You know, Roof would be at a higher level than Scottish football if he didn't have the injury problems that he has. But, you know, a good time for Roof to find form, because I thought he looked out of sorts last Sunday. I didn't think he looked match fit last Sunday. I didn't think he looked capable of playing the game we were asking him to play. I thought when he came on Thursday, you know, he came on at a time when Rangers started to come back into the match and start to control it, but I'm not sure how much of that is down to him. I kind of felt every time he got the ball, he either gave away a foul or gave away the ball on Thursday. I've maybe been a little harsh on him. Today he was perfect. Today he had a fantastic game. He led the line. You know, he scored 3 great goals, 2 great goals and one opportunist goal, a nice striker's goal in the right place at the right time, pouncing on the loose ball. You know, you couldn't have asked more for him. He get taken off early to save him for the next 2 big games where, you know, you really are looking for him to start producing there. So it would be fantastic, Colin, if he's hit a bit of form just at the right time. But that first goal, I thought Tav's cross was a bit speculative, you know, really just hoping for somebody to get on the end of it. Kent did really well to pick up the second ball and pick them out beautifully. You know, lovely goal. You know, real footballer's goal.
It was quite interesting that I saw a post-match clip. I think he was being interviewed in Rangers TV. And somebody commented on the service that he got the day. He says that it was really good service, but he made a wee comment. And it's about time. Now, he laughed right after he said it, but I did think, is there something in that? You know, because I do think he's not been getting the service. You know, that I do think we're still sort of playing as if it's Morelos up there. He's going to take the ball in, bully defenders. I don't think the service, I know you said he didn't look fit last week, but I also think the service he got last week against Celtic was pretty poor.
Yeah, I mean, he isn't Morelos. He's a different type of player. And if you're going to play Roof leading your line, then you need to play to his strengths, or else, and that goes with any player. If you're going to play Sakala leading your line, you have to play to his strengths. There's no point in knocking the ball up and expecting to do what Morelos does, because he can't do that. I actually think Roof can play with his back to goal. I think he's got a nice touch. He can lay it off, but he's not going to do his best work there. He isn't that type of player. He's a different type of forward, and you have to play to his strengths. And there were some frustrations on Thursday. I know we'll talk about Thursday a little later on. I think there were some frustrations in Thursday in terms of us actually getting down and into the final third. Whereas today there was no frustrations. As I said, I'm careful. I'm not as you touched on. I'm not as pessimistic about things as I think yourself is, and maybe Gary is. At the same time, that was a dreadful St Mirren team. That was a St Mirren team that have chucked it. That's a team that they're not going to get relegated. They can no longer make the top six. They're counting down the days till they go on their summer holidays.
I don't know about the relegation, John. They're only a couple of points off that. I think they're on 36. They them and Aberdeen are on 36. They could get dragged into it. I don't think they're going to get.
I don't see
the playoff place. They're not going to get automatically relegated, but I certainly think they can get dragged into the playoffs. And but you're right. They didn't look like a great side today at all. Gary, as we said there, we got the great start as we always do. Apparently, we always seem to start well, and it's before the second goal for a long period in that first half. It felt like we'd settled into that usual sort of pedestrian. Okay, we've went 1-0 up early doors. We're just going to not really do much else and just sort of move it about from side to side. And I was really at that point. I was really, really getting frustrated, and I don't understand why would we start so well in games and then just tail off. I mean, last week's a classic example. Until Roof got the second goal today, I kind of felt if St Mirren going at 1-0 here, they regroup, and then the longer the second half goes on, that the nerves start to kick in. So why do you think it is? Why is it that we tend to, we start games really, really well, get that early goal, and then we just settle into this rhythm of pedestrian, side to side, not looking to kill the team off, get the points in the bag early, and then we end up, I think we'll also be top of the league, the team that's looking to get the winner or the equaliser in the last 10, 15 minutes, despite the fact that we always seem to start so well.
It's got to come down to the manager. Like the manager's surely telling them to take the foot off the gas or whatever. Like you see Celtic sitting top of the league. That's something that they never do. They never take the foot off the gas. They continue going. If it's 2-3, 4-0, they'll continue to get the next goal. Because we always seem to settle. I said before, even when Gerrard was the manager, that I didn't know if it was like we'll try and conserve energy, but we've got the points wrapped up, so we'll maybe sit back and just take it calm, get some subs on and that. But today, like when we were 1-0 up, Jordan Jones stuck a couple of really good balls into the box, and even though they did the trouble McGregor as such, it wasn't coming off his line. It would just take somebody to get on the end of it, and it's one each, and then the pressure's back on us again.
Back on, yeah.
And then you see the difference. I was getting the second goal before half time, which is a good time to get the second goal, and then we come out and we can end up winning 4-0. It ends up quite comfy. We can make subs, we can rest guys for Thursday. And it just shows you the difference. Whereas before, we're bringing maybe guys on, we wouldn't want to get game time because we're chasing a game, we're trying to get a win. And that's what's ultimately cost us being top of the league.
Do you think it's a mentality thing? Do you think it's linked to the fact that last season we were so strong defensively? You could argue that last season we would have got away with that. I mean, last season we were blowing teams, out the water. We were regularly or semi-regularly, 4-5. I mean, I think we done Hamilton 8 or 9 at one point last season. Whereas this, so do you think it's linked to that? Do you think there's a feeling of, that invincibility from last season is carrying over? Think, well, we've got the goal, that team will not score. But if it was carried over for them, surely they'd learn by now, or in the closing stages of the season, surely they've learned that, well, actually, we're not defending the way we were defending last year. If we've got a team on the rack, we need to kill them off. We need to get that second goal and that third goal and put the game to bed.
My argument there would be that last year seems to be the freak. That if you look at the evidence for the previous years, which has ultimately been the same back five, kind of the same spine of the team, whatever you want to call it, these mistakes and problems has been, there's a book of evidence now. And last year was the one-off where I don't know how we've done it, but we've got a lot of 1-0 wins and kind of hard places to go, but we conceded so little goals, and that won us the title. And then now we're back to losing the stupid goals, and also we end up with no trophies again.
John, I mean, I think the second goal is hugely important today. You know, I think if we go in at half time 1-0, as I said there, St Mirren regroup. Paul Robinson maybe gets in about them, maybe makes a couple of changes. 2-0, I think, totally changes the game. And it was almost an identical goal to the first goal, except the other way around, if you know what I mean. It came in from the other flank and Roof sort of put the direction on it into the other corner. But I mean, how important do you think that goal was in terms of making the second half what it was? You know, we came out and the second half really did feel like, you know, it was wave after wave. It felt like it was inevitable that we were going to win. But again, I think if we don't get that goal just before half time, it could have been so different.
Yeah. I mean,
you're going to try to be positive here, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can be too critical of the team having just won 4-0 away from home. You know, and I caveat that with, as I said, I don't think St Mirren are any. You know, I don't think as a poor St Mirren team who look to me like they've downed tools already, but I don't think we can be too critical. You know, I know what you're saying that you know we get a goal inside a couple of minutes, and then you know there's a period of controlling the match, keeping possession, but not necessarily threatening. But I mean, we hit the bar, you know, just before we scored. Yeah. We should have scored. You know,
we should have scored. Yeah, should have scored.
You know, there was a couple of other half chances that we should have done better with. You know, if we'd gone in at half time 3-up, you know, you couldn't have complained. I mean, I don't really know if we could be too critical of the team, but I do agree with you that the second goal coming when it did, changed both sides. Team talks at half time. It meant St Mirren had to come out and have a go, because prior to that, St Mirren just kept the same tactics. They just kept everybody behind the ball, try to get the ball to Jones, who would run down and try and throw a cross in. And that was their tactics. They weren't getting anybody up to support them, thankfully. You know, they were there to try and keep it at 1-0. So I think you have to give you know, some credit to St Mirren that was their tactics, and you know, they were kind of working to the second goal went in. Again, the second goal for me underlines the importance of Tavernier and getting him into the final third. I thought that really showed on Thursday night. I thought Braga did a job on Tav. They'd obviously watched us. They were keeping Tav, you know, in a defensive position, and it was only when we tactically switched in the last kind of 20 minutes, kind of went to a back 3, back 5 that allowed particularly Tavernier to get forward, Colin, and then we actually did start to cause them problems again, and took the game to them, and that was the same today. You know, Tav. You know, Tav is one of these players I think we will really miss when he finally goes. Whenever Tav retires or leaves or whatever, we'll realise just, you know, how important a player he has been for us, because I think we take a lot of what he does going forward for granted. And I thought today, his cross for the second, the fact he was in that position, the fact he put that cross in, a pinpoint cross, it's not to take anything away from Roof, because it was still a hard header, but that was it. The game at that point turned. St Mirren needed to come out in the second half, which opened it up for us. And you're right, had it gone in at 1-0, St Mirren would probably have come out with different tactics, and it would have remained stuffy as they pushed and eventually didn't throw caution to the wind until late on. So it probably changed the game as a spectacle, and it probably changed the result. But I think you have to give credit to the team for that.
Gary, a couple of wee negatives from today. The injury to Lundstrom and to Hollander. Now, both seemed innocuous. They're in that sort of Oleg Kuznetsov category. You know, you think there's nothing wrong, and you know, you never see the guy. Aye, well, John will know what I'm talking about. Best centre half ever to sign for Rangers. Played 2 games, an innocuous injury, and then just never seen or heard of again. I think he's fighting the Russian army in Ukraine.
Mikhailchenko.
And he's Remiko, yeah. So, I mean, the Lundstrom one, I think that one could be okay. You know, he seemed to be, you know, you're trying to sort of gauge what's getting said between the physios and himself, and he seemed to be saying he just thinks he's overstretched a wee bit, precautionary, come off. I thought the Hollander one looked really innocuous. I didn't think there was much in that at all. And then about an hour later, you're seeing photos of him I think he was at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in crutches with a moon boot and all that on.
After
so a little bit of concern. And that's all. There's nothing in it. You look
like he's made of sugar glass.
Aye, it's and it was a really innocuous thing at Perth that put him out for so long. So potentially, if those are, well, obviously the Hollander one does look pretty bad. But if Lundstrom is out for a few weeks as well, that could also be a bit of a blow.
It's the Lundstrom one that worries me, because the kind of position he's adopted, dropping back into a back three, I'm not sure if anyone else can kind of do that. And because we do it a couple of times during the game, and depending on how the game's going, it is a really good tactic we've got. And even on Thursday, can have made quite a bit of a difference. So I'm not sure if like a Davis could do that or a Jack could do that. So I'm more worried about Lundstrom being fit for the run into the season. But if Hellander's out, at least we know we've got some form of cover, whether it's Leon King today or worst case scenario, Bassey can come in, or worst again, you can maybe bring in Simpson.
And in terms of that, the two injuries today made me sort of wonder about the use of the squad, especially under Gio. Leon King came on today. I think he showed he was capable of playing in such a game. Stephen Davis, we've not seen him for pretty much for the turn of the year, really. I think he showed he was, a class act who I think you could have got more minutes out of. And we've already discussed Roof. We'll come on. I've got some stats here around Morelos and Roof that we'll come on and discuss. So, is there an argument, and if you add Aaron Ramsey into the equation as well, is there an argument to say that we've been over-reliant on certain players and not used others when we could have?
Certainly that's been an argument for Van Bronckhorst. I think he's maybe had 14, 15 players and he's just constantly went to them all the time. And I can't really buy into the thing of players playing too many games. I know it's a modern thing now for sports science and all that. But it was good today to see the game being out of sight, and I'm bringing in like Davis and Scott Wright and even Sands and that, and using the squad. That's what the squad's for at the end of the day. You need to use I'm not saying the lesser players, but the players that will not play in the big games, play them in games like today, or give them the chance in games like today, and then you're not using the more important players and allowing them like Balogun to get a rest for Thursday. So like, to me, what he done today is perfect, but he's not done that up to the hours for what I can remember.
Yeah, and then today it felt enforced. It was through injury.
Oh yeah, two of them were. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So yeah, and what about you, John? I mean, the three that are sticking out for me in this are Davis, Roof, and Ramsey since he came in. When I seen Davis come in today, again just fits into it as if he's never been away. I mean, I know he's of a certain age, and we probably played him too much last year. We relied on him too much last year because of the injury to Jack. But I look at him and think they could have had more minutes out of him. I would argue the same with Ruth. And how Gio has used Van Bronckhorst, Ramsey at times has puzzled me as well. So, I mean, how do you feel? Are you going to come out all positive here and defend Gio? Or are you going to agree with me on this?
Steve, am I going to defend Gio, or do I want to maintain my place on the podcast rota? Is that what you're saying? No.
Well, we're having a discussion after the show, so
Steve Davis is probably my favourite Rangers player of the 21st century. I think he's a massively underrated midfielder. The guy goes about his job quietly. He's just a player I love. I share your frustration that he's had less game time, because I still think he has something to offer. You saw today, Davis, he'd one bad pass towards the end where he just kind of turned around and passed it to a St Mirren player. But that aside, he just slotted right in. I think he was injured. I think Davis was injured. I mean, yeah. I don't think Van Bronckhorst just decided I'm not playing him. I think he
did mysteriously turn up for Northern Ireland and play 90 minutes. You know what I mean?
But there's nothing mysterious about it. Steve Davis has always turned up for international. Steve Davis has turned up for international friendlies. Davis is an unusual professional in that he doesn't, when it was kind of fashionable not that long ago for guys to particularly the bigger players in the smaller nations, and I include Scotland in that, but in Northern Ireland as well, for their bigger players to not to go for the friendlies. Steve Davis never did. Steve Davis turned up every time. and he turned up in this one. He got the 90 minutes. He scored the goal, and everything. We were all surprised because we had assumed that he was still injured. So clearly he was fit before that. Whether he was match fit or not is debatable, but he was clearly fit before that. So like you, I'm puzzled as to why he wasn't featuring, particularly when the midfield seemed to be stuttering a wee bit. Gary touched upon something there that, the way we use Lundstrom, that Lundstrom offers us height, offers us a cover at centre half. He's not a natural centre half, but he offers us cover at centre half in a way that neither Jack, Kamara or Davis can. They can't. They can be defensive midfielders, but they can't step back and play centre half in the same way that Lundstrom can, and that perhaps has gone against him, has gone against Davis. And perhaps in a 3, the feeling is that Lundstrom, offers more because of that. But yeah, I would like to have seen Davis start today. I think Lundstrom had 2 tough games there, 2 big games. And I feel he probably did deserve to start on the bench and give Davis a run, because you just never know when you're going to need those extra legs. It's a worry that Lundstrom has picked up, a strain. Let's assume it's a strain. Let's assume it's that. But with 2 big games coming up, 2 season-defining games coming up in the next 6 days, 7 days, then that's a concern. So I'm a wee bit puzzled by Davis, but I'm delighted to see him in. Ramsey, let's all be frank. You watched the game today. Did Ramsey make you think, wow, he should have been playing against Braga? Against Celtic, he scored the goal early on, and you're thinking, yeah, okay, this is going to happen. But I didn't look at that and think, he's, in my opinion, just now, we are looking at his reputation rather than his actual performances. And we are thinking, he should play against Braga. He should play in the bigger games because of who he is, because of what he's done in his career. I haven't actually seen much in a Rangers jersey yet that's made me think, yes, he should be in that team ahead of, 2 or 3 other guys. And maybe he needs games. Maybe you got to just play him, and he got a game today. And maybe you get him match fit against St Mirren rather than Braga away. But that I don't think. That's my own opinion. We can question the wisdom of the signing, and with every passing week, it looks less and less wise. With hindsight, we look at that now and we think, well, that's probably a signing that didn't work out the way we'd hoped. But this season isn't over, so there's still time for him to deliver what we all think he is capable of. In terms of Roof, again, Roof's been injured, and Morelos was in great form. So again, I'm frustrated because I like Roof, and I would probably have played him ahead of Sakala. I'd probably have played him alongside Morelos in some games, certainly brought him on from the bench, try and get him fit. But he doesn't stay fit. The fact that we are kind of relying on Roof for the rest of the season worries me, because I'm not sure that he can take that level of game over that condensed period. So, we're looking at having Braga, Celtic, and then probably Celtic again. After the first game after the break, it's probably Celtic. So, it's fairly intense. I'm not sure Roof is up to that physically, but time will tell. So, I'm not here to say Van Bronckhorst has made no mistakes, because he has made mistakes. He's clearly made some mistakes. But I think those 3, Davis could perhaps have got some game time before the international break, because he did seem to be fit. The other 2, I don't know. Ramsey is a source of some frustration, because there is a world-class player in there, a guy who could genuinely be the best player in their league, but I haven't seen it yet. So I can understand why he's not starting the big games, because he started against Celtic, he started well, he fell out of it. I can understand why they didn't play him against Braga. Are you seeing something in Ramsey? Are you seeing performances?
Yeah, in terms of his movement off the ball and stuff, I see a lot in Ramsey. I'd like you, I'm questioning the signing. It's now looking like it was a trophy signing, and that money could have been used more wisely. But that doesn't stop me questioning how he's been used. And he has, as you pointed out, he's he was a world-class player at one point. There's maybe an argument to say he's not that now. But in the quarter-final Europa League, I think that's the type of game that Ramsey should be featuring in. And I think that's the type of game that we brought him in. And you live or die by that decision. You know what I mean? You bring him in for those games. And if it doesn't work, then that's just the way it goes. How he's been utilised at the moment puzzles me. And, people keep saying he's no fit. And I'm like, well, he's not getting it. If he's no fit, we need to play him. If I'm not playing him, he's not going to get fit. It's that kind of conundrum. And he came in for Wales the other week there. And apparently, I didn't watch the game, but certainly from what I read, he played really, really well. So, yeah, I do question why he's not being used more. I think he's good enough to get in that team. I think he could have been used more productively, but, it is what it is. Onto the Roof conundrum as well. We'll go on and discuss that just now. He gets his hat-trick early on in the second half. Gary, it could be sort of 1-2 from Aribo and Sakala, I think it was. Some good work down that sort of left-hand side. Kind of breaks about the box for a wee bit and he just comes in, slams it home. I thought his celebration was like a weight off his shoulders and almost like a statement to those that doubted him and thought that he'd been sort of written off. And as I said, he had his wee comment in RTV about, it's about time I got some decent service and stuff like that. But in terms, again, of how he's been used, I was looking at the stats between him and Morelos today. So Morelos, 75 shots on goal, 38 on target, 11 goals, a conversion rate of 14.7%. It's 192 minutes per goal. Roof has 34 shots on goal, 20 on target. He's 10 goals, so he's one behind Morelos. A conversion rate of nearly 30%, 29.4%. Minutes per goal, it's almost half Morelos, it's 99.5. So, looking at the numbers, now I understand John's argument here that you don't get a huge amount of games with Roof. I think John's right. If he was more robust, he probably wouldn't be at Ibrox. He'd be playing at a higher level. But given those numbers, I come back to he's not been used properly. He's not been used enough. At times, we've just been so reliant on Morelos. And Roof has been fit and sat on that bench and not been used or been used very, very sparingly.
I think there's a lot we can take this. I'm trying to, when you're asking the question, I'm trying to work out the best way to put it over. Firstly, Morelos is so vital for our team and he does a lot more than just score goals. But that is also a problem, and it has been for a few years, that when he's not there, and it could be Roof, it could be Itten, could be Stewart, Umar Sadiq, and whoever you want to name for the past, and we play the same way.
Just had a shudder there, Gary.
I know, sorry. But you know what I mean? We play the same way all the time as if Morelos is there. And as we said earlier, we need to start playing to the strengths of the players that were playing in that central role. So the day we did that, Roof scored goals. He scored big goals in Europe previously. He scored against Celtic previously. And that's good. So as long as we play to that strength, but on the outside of that is other players have got to take more responsibility for scoring goals, which happened last year. And Roof had a great season last year. I think he was your top league scorer. But we got goals for elsewhere, and that's what helped us be successful. So even when Morelos was off the boil, you were still getting contribution for elsewhere. It wasn't just relying on Roof to play a whole season, if you know what I mean. So I certainly think that he's got all the ability in the world. I think he's the best, probably, penalty box striker we've got. If he's getting brought on, we should be able to change our system like we can with the defence that drop to a back three. We should be able to say, right, we're going to do this tactic now because Morelos isn't there. Because in my opinion, that's where we struggled on Thursday, is that we're playing Roof but still trying to play long balls as if it was Morelos, and play to his strengths. Because if you play to his strengths, as we've said earlier, he's a good player, and that means we'll get success.
John, is there an argument here to say that, last season, as I said, Roof, he's not as robust as Morelos, right? So Morelos gives you a huge amount of game time before he's out through injury. Roof, we know you're getting maybe 4 or 5 games out, and then he's out for 2 or 3. But there were long periods in that season last season where Gerrard had both Roof and Morelos in the same team. Is Roof a victim here of Gio's thinking? It seems to me he wants actual proper wingers rather than bringing in Roof and using him as a winger, so to speak. So is that maybe the issue? And should Gio maybe be more open to saying, well, actually, maybe if this guy's fit, I need to find a way of getting him in the team, because look, you can't argue with those numbers. A fit Roof is going to score you goals.
I don't know, Colin. I think you have to be careful. There's lies, damned lies, and statistics. I don't think you can compare Morelos and Roof on paper like that, because Morelos brings so much more to the team. And I just think you're to do that. Well, let's bring in Chris Boyd and compare Chris Boyd's stats to Purzo's. There are two different types of players, and I don't think they are not. I don't think you can compare the two. I accept that, and I've said it myself. I think Roof is probably the best striker at Ibrox when he's fit. But the problem you have is he's not fit enough. And so I think
the point I'm trying to make is when he's fit, should he be getting used more? Yeah, he's fit just now. That's my point. Is when he's fit, should Gio be using him? At the moment, he's not.
I don't know if that's true. Was he not using them?
Well, he's barely featured.
No, but he's barely fit. He's barely been fit. He came in. He came in. He came back into the squad. Mid-February. Before that, he was injured. Before that, he was injured from before Christmas. So I don't know if it's a fair criticism to say Roof hasn't been given enough game time. Morelos was playing out his skin. I mean, Morelos wasn't playing well until Van Bronckhorst came in. Morelos' performance against Celtic in the League Cup at Hampden was disgraceful. He had a terrible game. I don't know what was wrong with him in that game, but he did a shocking game. And I was for taking him out of the team and never playing him again. I was so annoyed with him after that match. But Van Bronckhorst and the coaching staff seem to have got into Morelos' head, and he has been arguably the best he's been since he joined us. His discipline's been great. His link-up play's been good. He's been played to his strengths. I struggle to criticise the manager for not playing Morelos instead of Roof. I just think Morelos deserved to keep the position as our first choice. I think Gary's right, and as I said to myself earlier, if you're going to play Roof, you need to play to his strengths. You need to play a different game. If you're going to play Sakala at centre forward, then don't expect Sakala to be able to hold off two centre halves and knock it out, because he can't do that. So there's no point in playing that. So by all means, criticise Van Bronckhorst for doing that, because I think that's what we were doing for periods on Thursday night. We were hoping Sakala would do the same, and I assumed at the start of the game that they must play a high line and we're going to be putting the ball over the top and hoping that Kent and Sakala can run into space. And we did it at the start, and then we somehow stopped. So I was a little puzzled by that. I think a fit Roof should be in our team, but if it's a choice of playing him at centre forward or Morelos at centre forward, I'm playing Morelos.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is he's not been used enough at the right times. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you.
Right, Gary, it's just me and you for here on in, by the way.
Can I come in there as well? I was just going to say that I think your system is a big reason that we can only really play one striker or one main attacker.
A central striker, yeah.
Yeah, and when Morelos is on form, it's him every day of the week because of the way we play. And that's probably what's given Roof less game time.
Yeah.
But when games are out of sight, which has been few and far between, then that's when I would be wanting to bring Roof on. But at these times, we've been chasing games and whatever, so it's not been as easy enough to do that.
Yeah. Okay, doc. I disagree, but anyway. Right. John said there that, after Morelos' performance, Gary, against Hibs, he felt like chucking him out the team and never letting him back in again. I must admit, I felt like that last week with Joe Aribo. I thought it was a really, really poor performance. As poor a performance, I think, as I've seen from him. And I was, he's probably one of those few players that I was talking about earlier on. I was like, there's a few in this group. I'm just like, you know what, I'm done with them because of the things we've discussed. made the same mistakes over 2 years. We eventually get to the top of the pile and win the league, and you think, right, that's it. They've got that winning mentality now. They'll push on. And then this year they've just repeated what they've done in previous seasons, and it's kind of pissed me off a wee bit. But today, I thought he looked a wee bit more like himself today. And the goal, we have to talk about the goal. It was an absolute worldly, an absolute peachy finish. And again, it's quite frustrating because you think, that's what he's got in his locker. How could have not just a wee bit more of that over the last few weeks?
You could say that about a lot of the players. It's still the Godfather, the meme that just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. and a lot of the players are like that with me. But and that's the most frustrating thing. You seen today, there was no pressure on them. And then they played it that way. Joe Aribo played great. He scored an absolute screamer at a goal. We know that they're capable of doing that. And that's what frustrates most of the fans. Because like last year, we've seen what they've done in the league. And previous seasons before that, in spells, we've played well. But when it comes to these high pressure games, last Sunday being the prime example, too many players hid, and they didn't want it enough. And you think after the success, I say success, but we won the league, we blew it in the 2 domestic cups, but we won the league. You'd think after the celebrations and all the plaudits they'd be hungry for more. And I don't know if it's a mentality thing that these guys maybe they're just happy cruising along. But as John was saying about Tavernier earlier, as I said to you Friday, I was going to go on a bit of a rant about some of the players, but Tavernier's such a good player and so vital to our team, but he's won 1 trophy since he's been at Rangers, and he's driving about in a Lamborghini or whatever, captain the Rangers, and you're like, you've won 1 trophy, you've not made it at Rangers. And that goes for so many other players, Haribo and Goldson and Barisic. You could run off that full team. There's guys like Kurt Broadfoot have got more medals than Tavernier playing at right back. Do you know what I mean? And it annoys me so much that you know the ability these guys have got and they just don't show it enough. So I don't know if it's a mentality, if it's hunger, if it's just the modern day footballer that I hate. I don't know what it is. But
modern football.
I hate it, especially at England, even worse for England.
John, Aribo last week, I actually turned to my son at one point during the game and went, when Aribo's running, it genuinely looks like he's towing a caravan. Right? He looked so slow last week, and it was taking him like 5 or 6 touches to. He never looked. He was in control of the ball a lot of the time, but he never looked like he was in control of the ball. He was all over the shop trying to get it under. And, when you can compare his sort of performances since he came back from AFCON to, his early season performances, it's really, really frustrating to see that sort of dip in form. But, a superb finish today and a wee hint that maybe he could be coming into form at the right time, a big week coming up.
Yeah, I think Aribo was player of the year until Christmas. He had a great start to the season, and he really looked the player that we all know was in there. He is ungainly. He's he's got a touch and vision that doesn't suit his build. He doesn't look right. He's a kind of strangely built player, and I say that as a kind of big, tall, lanky guy as well. I kind of admire the fact that he like you say, he sticks at a toe and the ball's under control. I thought today that he had a good game today. We don't really have anyone who had they all had a good game today, but I thought he had a good game today. His goal was an absolute beauty, a lovely goal, lovely finish. 2 keepers weren't stopping that. It was a lovely goal, but I was for releasing him on Sunday night. Last Sunday night I was furious with him last Sunday night.
I struggled with him last week.
He went to sleep. He let the game pass him by. I was frustrated, and he is a frustrating player because you know how good he can be. You know that there's genuine quality in there, and so when he doesn't turn up for important fixtures, that can be frustrating. I thought him coming on Thursday night coincided with the game changing. I think the tactical change that we made on Thursday night with the substitutions worked. I'm not sure how much of that was down to Aribo, but him being there certainly, we suddenly started to open up the right hand side again, and Tav got forward, and suddenly we started causing him some problems. He's been arguably up until the last few weeks probably being the first name in the team sheet. You expected to see him there every week. It was no surprise when he did, but his form after the African Cup of Nations, his form wasn't the same as it was before he went. I don't know if that was the travel, just the exertions of a big tournament. I don't know if he's playing with an injury. I just don't know. But it was very pleasing, and if he is hitting form, if he has turned a corner and today brings back the confidence or whatever it is that he was lacking, that would be great timing, because a fit and more importantly a Joe Aribo who's in form, because I don't think there's been an issue with his fitness, but a Joe Aribo that's been in form, that would be great. Yeah, that's exactly what we need just now. Just one thing, why do you guys keep on saying when the pressure was off? Why is the pressure off?
Well, I'm just about to come on to that. Well,
it could have been construed as a dead rubber the day. I didn't believe that, but I think it's certainly, there's maybe not as much pressure because we're 6 points behind.
Geez, I think there's even more. We had to win today.
Yeah, I disagree.
Really? You chucked the league?
I've not, but I think the players have.
Really? I don't think the players have chucked the league. I don't think the managers chucked the league. I think that's why we put out the strongest team we could.
I hope they proved it wrong.
This is the point I'm about to come on to. We're into this ridiculous. I'm amazed it's still going on. This bloody split nonsense. It's pissed me off the day one that they introduced it. But we're going into the post-split fixtures, and as you said, John, given the trend, they always try and get the Old Firm game out the road first, to avoid one team winning it at the other's ground and all that kind of stuff. You would imagine it will be Celtic. Celtic Park will be our next league game. So, we win that, and then all of a sudden, what's that? There's 4 games to go, and there is a little bit of glimmer of hope. So, given what you've seen today, and obviously I think the next 2 games will feed into that next league game. If we get a good result against Braga, if we beat Celtic in semi-final next week, we go to Celtic Park flying. Does that just give us another wee bit of hope, in the last 4 games of the season?
Me?
John. Yeah, you go, John, and I'll bring Gary in.
I haven't given up hope. I haven't given up hope yet. I don't think there was as much between the teams on Sunday. I think had Morelos been playing on Sunday, I think it's a different score. I thought I was gutted on Sunday after the game. I was frustrated, but I didn't actually think there was that much between the teams. I don't think so. I would agree with that. Miles ahead of us.
I said in the immediate post-match show that they were just a bit less shit than we were.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they created more chances and looked more likely to take them than we did. And I think defensively they were stronger than us on the day. But as I said, I think that was partly because we lost Morelos and our tactics weren't right for playing Ruth. But anyway, either way, I haven't given up this league yet. I know there's 6 points and I know there's not many games to go, but I've not given it up yet. There's still twists and turns to come. So let's see. We've still got to play them. Let's see what comes of that. But I certainly haven't given it up. So, this fixtures coming in. I've read guys saying, use these fixtures, use the rest of these games to blood youngsters. No, you need to win until the point it is mathematically impossible for us to win that league. We got to go out there and win that. We got to go and win every game because you never know. You never know. Yeah,
we've been here before. We've been here before with Helicopter Sunday and all that. Gary, how do you feel if we win that game at Celtic Park, we take it down to 3 points? Does that give us, renewed hope, or are you a wee bit like me in terms of it would be very typical of this group to get in that position to give ourselves renewed hope and then blow it anyway?
Yeah, they'd probably blow it anyway. I was joking to my friends today that I actually expect this group of players to drop points so that Celtic will win the league against us at Parkhead. That would just be the way to kind of end that group of players' time at Rangers. But I've not gave up hope in all seriousness. If we did that before, can you said Helicopter Sunday wouldn't have happened. But as it comes back to a mentality thing with these players, But see, like last Sunday, I just think Celtic wanted it more, and that annoys me more than anything, because you know that we're a better team, and it's very, very frustrating, because you know how good the players are, and kind of performances against Dortmund and that, and that was what, last month, and then they'll go and play like Celtic. I thought it was kind of half-arsed, and they'd done the hard time by taking the lead, and then just blew it. And we've blew all these points for January. It's just it's so frustrating. It's right downheartening, like it really, really is.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you've been on a kind of journey with these players in the last 4 or 5 years, and for the ability they've had, I think they should have done a lot better than just one league title. I really believe that. Kind of like with the record that Hampden's up on, the knockout competitions have been pretty bad. It's disappointing, because I think it's a really good team that Gerrard's built, and it's the core of that team's been together for 4 or 5 years, and I think when we look back on them, it'll be what could have been rather than what they've actually done.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Looking to the week ahead, a huge week, John. You've as you said earlier on, it's probably season defining. Braga, I would say that's more than a recoverable result. My biggest fear is one of defending. I've just never had the belief in our defensive capabilities this season. When you look at the amount of times we've been in winning positions and squandered it and all that kind of thing, we're conceding goals far too regularly, far too easily, in my opinion. But you would have to say, I also think the Europe thing has become a bit of a myth, because we really struggled in the group stages. We had a really horrible group stage. We really struggled to get out of it. It's basically been Dortmund and Red Star. That's been the two sort of highlights in Europe this season. However, we're in a great position. We're in a quarter final with a really, really good chance of getting into a semi final. So, in terms of your thoughts on our chances and how we should approach it.
It's funny how I'm Mr. Positive in this compared to you two, but because I'm not normally I'm a bit kind of worst case scenario. I think everybody who watched the game the other night could see that Braga are a team that if we play to our strengths, we can beat. They're not as good as Dortmund. I don't think they're as good as Red. I don't think they're as good as Red Star. Yeah, but they're not as good as Dortmund. They're not as good as Lyon. They are a team that if we can, if we play to our best and we get a bit of luck, we should be able to beat them by 2 goals. Is my opinion. I'm a little, let's see what defence comes out. I'm not sure how fit Bassey is. Balogun clearly isn't fully fit, or else he'd have come on today. So they're obviously he's there as a last resort today, and I think we've known for a while Balogun can't play 2 games a week. So we'll see what team we put out. Goldson and Tav, I guess McGregor will play, and then we'll kind of take it from there. And we've seen how Braga play. And we've seen their strengths, and we know they're quick in the break, they're technical, they find their players well, they'll hit from distance, they've no problem hitting from outside the box if you give them the space, lovely movement that you get from these Portuguese teams, a lovely way of playing football. But, I thought they were a bit sus at the back. They're not a big team, they're one of the smallest teams I've seen in Europe. It was one of these ones when they were doing the thing along, I'm thinking, are those 2 centre-halves giants just making the rest of them look small? Or are they actually quite a small team? But they are quite a small team. So you got to go into that game thinking, okay, we could win this. There's no reason why we couldn't win this. This isn't Leverkusen. I don't think they're at that level. So it will be disappointing if we don't take something from that match. And I suspect if that does happen, that will play into the next game. Because Celtic at Hampden will be a hard game. Celtic are flying just now. We have to all be honest with each other. Celtic are flying just now. They'll go into that game full of confidence. They having beaten us at Ibrox just a fortnight before. They'll go into that game full of confidence. I think whatever happens on Thursday night, we are going to have some tired players going into that game. They've had a week off. They wouldn't have had a game since the Saturday before. So it's all in their favour. So this will be an interesting one. And so, as you say, it's season defining. And let's see what these guys are made of. And perhaps this time next week, you'll have been proven right, and we'll have the pitchforks out, and we'll be marching at Ibrox for Gio's head, and the directors, and everybody else we can think of. Or maybe the world will look quite different. So we just have to wait and see. But season defining, I'm remaining hopeful. Let's go. Hopeful, I think, is the word I'll use.
What about you, Gary? I mean, John's covered sort of Braga there. In terms of the Celtic game next week, to me, it's a huge game for Gio. There's already some supporters questioning him. You're seeing a lot of that on social media. I think he needs, he needs to get his own players in. It's obviously there's going to be a clear out in the summer, and I think he deserves more time. But if he loses a third Old Firm game in a row against Celtic next week, especially when you consider the run of results we had with Steven Gerrard, we went 2 years or something without them, landing a glove on us. To go from that to losing 3 in a row, it could be a tricky situation for him if he loses next Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. I've just been their last realistic chance of silverware. Touchwood, we're still in the Europa League, but I can't see us winning it, even if we did get a win on Thursday. I think the Scottish Cup's probably their most realistic chance to get a trophy this year. So if we were to go to that, I think it's just another bit of evidence people can use to see why Gio might not be the right guy. I must admit, I've got some doubts myself. I totally take all the positives about it's not his team, or sorry, not the positives, the arguments for him, it's not his team and all that, but similar to when Caixinha taken over, I know it's a different time and different situation, but I feel like there was alarm bells here quite early, and I'm seeing a couple of alarm bells ringing with Van Bronckhorst. But see because it's a one-off game, if we could get a win, hopefully a win on Thursday, that'll keep a bit of momentum going. It could lift that team into a good end to the season, but then it could have the absolute opposite effect as well. We could realistically be sitting here saying, well, we put the Europa League, put the Scottish Cup, and then Celtic's beat us at Parkhead in the league. And then I really think that the questions would start being asked to Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, and on that positive note.
All right.
But no, we will finish. I mean, we'll try and finish on a positive note. If we do win on Thursday, we're in the first semi-final of the European competition for the first time since 2008. And then that goes into that game on Sunday. And if we win next Sunday, then all of a sudden I think the garden looks a lot rosier. You're then looking at that game at Celtic Park thinking, if we win that, there's only 3 points in it with 4 games to go, and we're still fighting on 3 fronts. So, yeah, a defining week coming up. And
Colin, if we win on Thursday and on Sunday, we'll all have semis. Let's be honest.
Semis? I'll have a fully. And I'm off on the Monday. It's Easter Monday. So bring it on. Anyway, on that note, I think we'll call time on tonight's show. So a big thanks to to John and Gary for their contribution. Great stuff as always. We were live tonight. We're live on Sunday night, but I remind you that the show will be available to download and stream on a variety of platforms from tomorrow, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all your usual places. As we said there, guys, a huge week coming up. We'll be with you the whole way. We'll have the preview show out on Wednesday for the game on Thursday. We'll have a preview show out next week for the Old Firm game, and then we'll have the flagship show next week. So keep with us, keep watching us, keep subscribing, keep putting the word out there for us. And in the meantime, until all that, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Have a good week, guys. It's a season-defining week. Hopefully we'll come out at the other end. And until next time, bye for now.